guys, welcome back to my channel, Dreams Gone Mobile. We are here in my cocina, aka my kitchen. So basically you want to test out what you're good at, and that's what I will always say. Test out what you're good at and test out with other people the type of food that you're going to be cooking on your food truck. You could do like focus groups where you can have people like taste your food, your family members. I would just try to get some strangers, if you could, sampling your food so that way you know what's good and what's popping basically in the streets and what they're missing. So what we're gonna be doing here is, the first item is chicken wings and french fries, which is my favorite. A little backstory, I used to have a food truck, so for those of you who do not know, I had a food truck where it was called Mrs. Cravings. And I basically did everything that I craved. Chicken wings, tacos, french fries, you name it, I did it. And one of my biggest selling items were tacos and wings. So I'm gonna be cooking some wings today and showing you what are some great tips so that you can prepare yourself when it comes to cooking items, because obviously timing is also key when it comes to the food truck. While we're putting the oil to warm up, we're gonna be chopping up some onions and some tomatoes. Just to kind of give you a little bit of advice when it comes to chopping things up, it actually takes up most of your time when you're trying to prepare for anything like tacos, burgers, and whatnot. So when you're chopping anything, you want to make sure it's already chopped. At least have like a container like this size, halfway full of chopped vegetables. That way you can carry it over, and then whatever you don't use, seal it. And always make sure that you're washing your vegetables and fruits, whatever you're preparing for that day. So all you have to do is basically grab your plate, and if you're putting any tomatoes, onions, pickles, whatever the case is, for whatever you're preparing, it's already there laid out for you. And that's a sandwich prep table. You can have a 2-door, you can have a 1-door. It's pretty cool to have, and they have a little cutting board on there, so that way if you do run out of any onions or tomatoes, anything like that, you're able to chop up on there and then just continue refilling it throughout the day depending on how busy you are. So a couple things you need to know when it comes to frying food is you have to make sure that the temperature of the oil is at a temperature that is sufficient for the cooking that you're going to be doing or whatever it is you're going to be frying. So ideally speaking, the degrees I would say is between 350 to about 375 degrees when you're frying any french fries, if you're frying wings and things like that. Now granted, if this is your first time cooking with oil on a deep fryer, you gotta make sure you turn on the pilot, let the oil warm up a little bit prior to serving to the public, because it's not gonna cook right away. Once you have the oil hot enough to where you are able to cook the actual chicken from raw to cooked, then you're able to go in, drop the chicken in, or the french fries or what have you. It can cook for about 7 minutes tops, and then from there you're able to get a good result, crispy wings, cooked all the way, and deliver your food within a certain time frame, which is not going to upset the actual customer that's waiting for the food. Another important tip that I would always say is to take care of how you're handling the food, right? So gloves are super important. Now granted, they do say that, and the states do vary, where you don't have to cook with gloves on, but you do have to have gloves on when you're actually prepping the food that's already cooked. Now I can't say that's in every state, but what I can say is that in certain states, they do require you to have gloves on at all time. And given that COVID has happened, you definitely want to make sure that you are following all the precautions. I'm gonna rinse this off too. So typically what I like to do is I like to put a little bit of oil and vinegar. I don't know why I do it backwards, but I always do. I put a little bit of oil and vinegar to kind of clean off the chicken and rinse it off. And then from there, once I rinse it off, I season it how I want to. Another tip is if you have long hair, you definitely want to have your hair up like mine in a bun, because you don't want to have food with hair in it, because I've seen that happen in actual restaurants and it's just not a good look. So you definitely don't want to serve food with hair in it. So make sure you have your hair up tied, make sure you have your gloves on, because honestly, if people see you prepare food with your hands bare, whether it's raw or cooked, people have a problem with that. So try to avoid that, because if people see that, people have a tendency of having an issue with you giving them food with bare hands. Once the oil is already warm, which clearly it's warm over here, you can drop the chicken in. I always test only one piece of item first to see if it'll fry, because what happens is if you put in the food before it's ready to cook, it's gonna become very soggy or super oily, so you don't want that. So if you do wanna drop in whatever it is, just try one item first instead of dropping in a whole basket of wings or a whole basket of fries, because it doesn't taste the same when it's soggy. All right, so now we're gonna talk about food costs. Obviously, it does take a lot of effort to go into purchasing the seasonings that you want, the items that you need, from the meat down to the salts, down to the buns, whatever it is that you're cooking, everything costs money, right? So in order for you to track and to actually make a profit, you have to make sure that you are keeping track of whatever it is that costs you to make something as simple as a burger, whether it's the seasoning from the onion powder or the steak seasoning. So if you know that it costs you, whatever it costs you, $2 to create this item, and you sell it for $9, you know that you're gonna make a $7 profit. But in order for you to be specific, I do have a cool food cost calculator that my videographer had given me, so make sure you check it out. If you want to get that, you can join my Facebook group, Food Truck for Starters. A whole bunch of cool tips. The food cost calculator is on there, some guides are on there, and you can join it for free. Also, let's talk about food quality. You cannot just buy any meat or any type of fish or what have you from any place. You have to make sure that this is good quality meat. So you want to make sure you look up your local butchers, you want to look up any meat where you're getting it from. Make sure you look it up, good quality meat. Restaurant Depot has pretty good quality meat and they sell in bulk. Also Sam's Club, Costco. I'm not sure what's in your area, but there are so many different stores that you can look into that are huge manufacturers, or you have your local butchers, you have your local bakeries. Whatever it is that you're selling, you want to make sure that is quality. People are definitely willing to pay for quality, and as long as you season your food right and you have quality food, you're definitely gonna sell. Thank you so much for watching, and now let's enjoy this amazing food.